She stood there, in front of 100 people, perfect lighting, designer dress, holding her newborn son. And then she said it. This man is the only grandfather my child will ever know. I froze, not because I didn't hear her, but because I heard every word clearly. And the man she was pointing at wasn't me. It was Harold, her stepfather, the man who came into her life when she was 16, the man who bought her a laptop, took her shopping, walked her down the aisle. While I spent 15 years teaching her to ride a bike, braiding her hair before school, sitting through parent-teacher conferences, skipping dates, and overtime and dreams. Because I was her dad, not the fun one, not the rich one, the real one. And now, I was nothing, just a shadow in a tux, standing on the edge of her perfect party. A silent reminder of a version of her life she wanted to erase. 30 years of love, sacrifice, and loyalty, dismissed in one sentence. But here's the thing about silence. It listens, it remembers, and sometimes it bites back. If you've ever been erased by the one you raised, or watched someone else take credit for your scars, you're not alone. This is my story. And if you're the kind of person who believes some betrayals deserve consequences, then maybe, just maybe, you belong here. Subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. My name is Franklin Hughes. I'm 62 years old. Been pouring concrete for most of my life. Never got rich, never got famous. But I showed up. Every morning at 6 a.m., steel boots on hands, rough from work, I never once complained about. Because I had a reason to keep going. Her name was Emily. She was 3 when her mother left. No warning, no goodbye. Just a note on the kitchen table and an empty closet. That day, everything changed. I became dad and mom. Cook laundry guy nurse during flu season. I learned how to braid pigtails watching YouTube tutorials on a cracked phone screen. Burnt pancakes countless. Story times before bed, every single night. Even when I was too tired to keep my eyes open. I never missed a school play. Never forgot a birthday. Never brought another woman home. People told me I was crazy. You need a life too, Franklin, they'd say. But she was my life. When she had nightmares, she'd crawl into my bed and whisper, "Daddy, you'll never leave me, right?" And I'd always answer the same. "Not in this lifetime, sweetheart." I didn't have much. A 2-bedroom apartment with creaky floors and a leaky faucet. But she had clean clothes, hot meals, and someone who'd give up the world for her. I didn't raise her to owe me anything, but I raised her thinking maybe she'd remember. Turns out I was wrong. Some memories don't fade. They come back in flashes, smells, sounds. The scent of cherry shampoo on her hair when I tucked her in. The sound of training wheels scraping against concrete in that old grocery store parking lot. I still remember the first time she rode without them. She fell, scraped her knee, looked at me like the world had ended. And I told her, falling's not the problem. Staying down is. She wiped her eyes, got back on. That's who she was. Strong, smart, stubborn like her old man. I taught her how to hold a hammer, change a tire, balance a checkbook. We used to have Saturday mornings just for us. Library pancakes and trips to the Goodwill for clothes that still had stories left. When she was 12, she saved up and bought me a coffee mug that said, "Best dad ever." Still sits on my counter. Cracked handle, faded letters. But I never throw it away. Because for a long time, she meant it. On her high school graduation day, she hugged me so hard I thought my ribs cracked. "I don't know what I would have done without you, Dad," she whispered. "You're my hero." I held on to that sentence for years. Like it was proof. Proof that everything I gave up had been worth it. Funny how one sentence can stay with you forever, and how another can burn everything down. She was 16 when her mother came back. Out of nowhere. Hair done, nails perfect, pulling into our apartment complex in a shiny silver BMW. She said she just wanted to reconnect. But she didn't come alone. Harold was with her. Tall, polished, salesman smile. He shook my hand like we were equals. We weren't. He didn't know what it was like to spend 3 nights in a hospital chair beside your daughter's bed. Didn't know what it cost to choose macaroni over new work boots because rent was due. But Emily, she was dazzled. Harold bought her a laptop, took her shopping for college clothes, said things like, "She deserves the best." I agreed. But I wondered why it suddenly mattered now. They invited her to stay weekends at their house. Big place in Cherry Creek, 3-car garage, wine fridge. She'd come back smelling like expensive detergent and almond shampoo. Started comparing things. Our two-bedroom apartment cramped. My old truck embarrassing. I didn't argue, didn't lecture, because deep down I thought, it's just a phase. She'll come back. To pancakes on Saturday, to duct tape remotes and burnt popcorn, to real life. But real life was starting to lose its shine. And Harold, he wasn't going anywhere. He was slowly becoming the man she wanted to be proud of. And I was becoming part of the background. She was 27 when she got engaged to a man named Trevor, publishing executive, polished, wore custom suits and used words like networking potential in casual conversation. I smiled, shook his hand, measured his grip. It was soft, but Emily seemed happy, and that was enough. She said she wanted a simple wedding. I offered to help pay. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, "Dad, that would mean everything." So I wrote the checks. Venue, dress, catering. I didn't even blink. Then came the rehearsal dinner. And that's when she told me, "Harold's going to walk me down the aisle." My fork paused midair. She kept going too fast, like she was afraid to hear herself. "You'll still be part of it, of course. I want you to do a reading. Something meaningful. A reading." While another man walked my daughter toward forever. I nodded, said I understood, because that's what I always did. But inside, something cracked. The day came, sun shining, string quartet playing. Everyone rose when she entered, holding Harold's arm, beaming, and I stood there, second row, a spectator at a life I built. When I stepped up for the reading, my hands shook, but my voice didn't. Love is patient. Love is kind. The kind of love that sacrifices everything. Even the spotlight, even the title, even the aisle. After the wedding, I sat down with my lawyer, Patricia Walsh. Smart, blunt, zero tolerance for sentiment. We'd worked together for over a decade. Wills, work contracts, basic estate planning. This time, it was different. I wanted to set up something lasting. A trust fund. $2 million. For Emily. For her future children. "You sure you want it unrestricted?" Patricia asked. "No clauses, no stipulations." I hesitated. She leaned back, arms crossed. "It's not about control. It's about protection. Kids change. Life shifts. People forget who held them together when things were falling apart." I shook my head. "Not Emily. She's not like that." Patricia didn't argue. She just wrote the paperwork and slid one clause in quietly. Respect clause. A line buried in the legalese. Something about continued familial acknowledgement and honoring of the grantor. A safety net, just in case. I never expected to use it. Never even thought about it again. Because in my mind, she was still that little girl in pigtails. Still the teenager hugging me after prom. Still the graduate whispering, "You're my hero." I built that trust with my hands, my labor, my life. It wasn't just money. It was my legacy. My silent way of saying, "I see you, I believe in you, even when I'm gone." I thought she'd carry that forward. Turns out, she had other plans. It was supposed to be a celebration. Emily had just given birth to a baby boy, Jacob. She wanted everything perfect. 5-star venue in downtown Denver, crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, name cards with gold lettering. She didn't ask if I could afford it. She just sent over the invoice. And I paid. Because that's what fathers do, right? They show up, quietly, consistently. I wore my best suit, pressed, polished, ready. My name wasn't on the program, but my seat was at the family table, right next to the people who barely remembered my name. The music faded, the lights dimmed. Emily took the mic, smiling, glowing, holding her son. Then she said it, clear, sharp, without hesitation. "This man is the only grandfather my child will ever know." She looked at Harold, not even a glance towards me. The room clapped, laughed, even toasted. I didn't move, didn't speak. Just stood there, suffocating, in a room full of people who thought I didn't exist. My sister reached for my hand under the table. I pulled away, excused myself. No one followed. No one asked if I was okay. They were too busy celebrating a man who showed up at the finish line, while I had run every mile, alone. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I went home, and I opened a drawer I hadn't touched in 12 years. Inside, was the trust fund, and a clause I thought I'd never need. The apartment was quiet when I got home. Too quiet. The kind of silence that doesn't comfort but confirms. I hung up my jacket, loosened my tie, poured myself a glass of tap water, and sat at the kitchen table, same table I'd helped Emily with homework at, same spot she once built a volcano for science class. Now, it just felt cold. I opened the filing cabinet, pulled out a thick folder, the trust fund papers, 12 years untouched, still crisp, still waiting. I flipped through the pages, and there it was, the clause Patricia had insisted on. In the event that the grantor is publicly disrespected, disavowed, or excluded, I stared at the wording for a long time. It wasn't about the money. It never was. It was about the weight of words, the cost of pretending someone never existed. I called Patricia first thing Monday morning. She answered on the second ring. "Franklin, you okay?" "I'm ready," I said. To enforce the clause, to rewrite the ending. And the new beneficiary, Lucia, Miguel's granddaughter. She never forgot who I was. There was a pause, then, "Understood. I'll have the paperwork ready by Thursday." I hung up. Didn't feel joy or anger or regret. Just something close to clarity. They erased me in public, so I responded in private, with ink and silence. Isabella called me that evening. Her voice came through the landline, gentle, unsure. "Uncle Franklin, Patricia just called. Is it true?" "Yes. You're setting up the trust for Lucia, for her education, for her future." Silence on the other end. Then, "Why?" I took a breath, looked around the apartment, at the photo of Emily on the wall, her 5th birthday, missing front teeth, chocolate on her face. Because some people remember and some rewrite history. Isabella was Miguel's daughter. Miguel, my best friend, killed in a car accident 6 years ago. I helped his widow, Carmen, raise Isabella, drove her to soccer, proofread college essays, fixed the bathroom sink at her first apartment. She called me uncle and meant it. When she had Lucia, she asked me to be godfather, not for money, not for show, just because I showed up, always. Lucia's 3 now, talks too much, laughs too hard, thinks I hung the moon. Last week she drew a picture of me, stick figure, big smile, labeled Guanpa. No corrections needed. That was enough. Isabella's voice broke through again. "Are you sure about this?" "Very. She's still your daughter." She made her choice. I paused, then added, "Now I've made mine." The papers were served on a Tuesday, delivered to Emily's home in Cherry Creek. By Thursday morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop, but I didn't answer. By Friday, I found out what she'd done. Carmen called first. Her voice was tight-clipped. "You need to see something, Franklin." She forwarded screenshots from a private Facebook group, New Moms of Denver. Emily's posts were long, carefully worded, soaked in manipulation. "My father is being taken advantage of. He's showing signs of confusion, irrational behavior. I'm worried he's being influenced by people who never cared about our family." People responded, sympathetic, concerned. Some offered links to elder abuse hotlines. Others suggested legal action, power of attorney, mental evaluation. One woman even shared a horror story about her uncle being committed, all based on Emily's words. All lies. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding the phone. Not angry, not surprised. Just done. She wasn't trying to talk. She was trying to erase me legally, take control of my finances, paint me as a senile old man lashing out. It wasn't enough to cut me out of her speech. Now, she wanted to cut me out of existence. But this time, she wasn't the only one with documentation, because every lie she posted was now evidence. I met Patricia at her office, folder in hand, face like stone. She didn't greet me with small talk, just handed over a printout stack. Screenshots, names, timestamps, every single word Emily posted preserved. She didn't even try to hide it, Patricia said, flipping a page. She built a whole narrative, public enough to be dangerous, private enough to be cowardly. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. She kept going. "We can file a defamation suit. And based on this, we can also preempt any attempt to challenge your mental competency." She pulled out another folder. Medical documentation, neuroevaluation, signed, sealed. Patricia had prepared it months ago, just in case. You're sharp, Franklin. Legally and medically. She's got no case. I leaned back in the chair. Not satisfied, not victorious. Just ready. She tried to bury me with words. Let's respond with facts. That afternoon, the lawsuit was filed. Defamation, false medical claims, attempted coercion, all backed by screenshots and certified reports. The filing wasn't public yet, but it would be soon. And when it was, Emily wouldn't just lose a trust fund. She'd lose something far harder to rebuild, credibility, because family can forgive. But courts, they keep receipts. The news hit like a quiet bomb. No sirens, no screams, just headlines. Local businessman files defamation suit against daughter over family trust. The article ran in the Denver Post. It was factual, unemotional, brutal. It listed the clause, the violation, the screenshots. It mentioned names. Trevor, Emily, Velwick Publishing. It didn't editorialize. It didn't need to. By Monday, 3 investors pulled out. By Wednesday, authors began backing out of contracts. By Friday, the board had called a meeting. Trevor was removed as executive editor. His name was scrubbed from the website within hours. Their stock dropped 30% in 2 days. One quote stood out in the press release. We cannot move forward with unresolved personal issues clouding our leadership. Meanwhile, Emily's social calendar went silent. Invitations dried up. Calls stopped coming. The same women who commented, "So proud of you, Mama," last week, now whispered behind her back. She and Trevor packed their things, left Denver, moved to Phoenix. Fresh start, they said. But reputation doesn't pack lightly. It follows. And in some circles, it precedes. As for me, I didn't gloat, didn't post, didn't tell anyone I told you so. I just went to the hardware store, bought lumber, and started building a bookshelf. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud, it's solid, and it lasts. She showed up on a Tuesday evening, hair unwashed, hoodie from college, eyes red. For a second, she looked 12 again. Lost, small, hurt. I opened the door but didn't step aside. She stood there in silence, then said, "Dad, can we talk?" I didn't answer, just waited. "I was wrong," she whispered. "The toast, the posts, everything. I didn't mean to hurt you. I let that sit between us. Heavy. Like smoke that doesn't clear. I'll make it right," she added quickly. "Public apology. I'll tell everyone you're Jacob's real grandfather." I shook my head. "That ship sailed the moment you hit post." She started crying. Real tears, loud sobs. The kind that used to break me. But this time, they just sounded familiar. Practiced. "Please don't do this," she begged. "You're still my dad." I paused, then said it slowly. "You made a series of decisions. Not one, not a slip. You made a pattern. And now, you get to live with it." She looked up desperate. "What do you want me to do?" I didn't flinch. "I don't need anything from you anymore." Then I closed the door. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Because sometimes, love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to stop. 6 months later, I was teaching Lucia how to fish. Cherry Creek Reservoir. Early morning. Cold air. Hot coffee. She held the tiny rod with both hands, face scrunched in focus. "Do fish get cold underwater?" she asked. "Probably," I said, "but they don't complain about it." She giggled. That sound. Soft, pure, uncomplicated. Isabella sat nearby on a picnic blanket, book in hand, eyes on her daughter. She looked up and smiled. And in that moment, I felt something settle inside me. Not happiness, not victory, peace. Lucia tugged on my sleeve. "Uncle Franklin." "Yeah. Are you really my grandpa?" I looked at her, 3 years old, wild curls, curious eyes. Not my blood, but fully mine. "What do you think, sweetheart?" She beamed. "I think yes." And just like that, it was decided. Family doesn't always come through bloodlines. Sometimes it comes through showing up. Again, and again, and again. When people ask about Emily now, I tell them the truth. No hate, no venom. Just facts. She made her choice. And I made mine. Some bridges collapse on their own. Others, you light the match. And then, you build something better in the ashes. I used to think family was simple. Blood, birth, shared last names. But life has a way of teaching you better. Family is the hand that holds yours in silence. It's the one who remembers your favorite breakfast. It's the little girl who calls you grandpa even when the world says you're not. Emily taught me that blood doesn't guarantee love. Lucia taught me that love doesn't require blood. One erased me from her story. The other wrote me into hers without being asked. And in between, there's truth. Not the kind you post. The kind you live. The kind you protect. The kind that doesn't flinch when things get ugly. For 30 years, I gave everything I had to someone who stopped seeing me. And now, I give what's left to someone who sees me clearer than anyone ever did. So no, I didn't lose a daughter. I just stopped chasing someone who was running from me. And I found something better. A little peace. A little purpose. And the understanding that some legacies are chosen. One quiet moment. One child's laughter. One honest life at a time. Maybe you've been there too. Love someone who slowly, quietly chose someone else over you. Not with fists, but with silence. Maybe you've held your tongue at a dinner table, paid for a party you weren't really invited to, watched someone you raised. Rewrite the story. If you have, you're not alone. Some of us love loud. Some love through showing up. Some through letting go. And if this story made you feel something, sadness, rage, peace, maybe all three, then stick around. Because here, we tell stories that aren't just dramatic. They're real. They're messy. They're the kind that don't always end in hugs and reunions, but sometimes end in clarity. And if you believe like I do that some truths deserve to be told, that not all wounds are meant to be hidden, then maybe you belong here too. Subscribe, because there are more stories like this one, and maybe one of them might be yours.